into the party wagon and hold on to your pizza. Hey there, everyone. This is Justin from Epic Tales in the Sewers. Just to explain this episode, this is a very special episode in which our friends from Token with the Dead asked us to step in and do a guest host while they had guest legendary artist from Mirage Studios, Steve Lavigne. So this features both Eric and myself co-hosting the show, Still Toking, along with the co-host Leo Pond for the Dorkening Network. So you can check this out on Token with the Dead, and make sure that you do that and give a follow to our friends over there at Token with and Token with the Dead. And this is Eric and Justin covering for Token with our interview of Steve Lavigne.
Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. You're watching Still Toking with, and that was our new intro. We're kicking off season 4 today. This is going to be an awesome show. But so unfortunately, Ben and Jeff can't join us tonight. But as you know, the show goes on. So we have a killer show, and the most righteous dudes we have with us today. Where the hell are my notes? Damn it. Eric and Justin from Epic Tales from the Sewers. Justin, how's it going, bud?
Hi, Leo. It's going great. The Dorkening's own Epic Tales from the Sewers, the all Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle podcast, all turtles all the time. And my co-host, Mr. Eric Will.
How y'all doing today?
Hey. Now, Justin, we have a very special guest today.
We do have a very special guest. And I just want to say to everyone who's tuning in, you may remember me from the Token with episode with Marty Grabstein, which I was on here and I was helping out. So I am not a stranger to the show. I love the show. And I just wanted to say awesome music from Scarecrow Hill in the beginning of that. But let's get to the moment du jour. Our guest today is a very special artist, Steve Lavigne, who is formerly of Mirage Studios, best known for creating the TMNT, Mirage Studios. Among Steve's creations himself, there is Sergeant Bananas, Stump and Sling, and Cuddly the Cowlick. Hi, Steve. How are you today?
Good. How are you guys? I can't see you anymore, which is funny.
Oh, you can't see us? Okay.
No.
There we
go. Hey, hi, guys.
Thanks for joining us here. We're going to try to do the best that we can to chip in for Ben and Jeff, and we appreciate you coming on with us and talking to a couple of turtle heads.
Oh, happy to do it. Yeah, I again a little sad not to see Ben and Jeff. Those guys love seeing those guys at cons. I haven't seen them for a while, so I was really looking forward to catching up. But you guys are nice replacements.
Yeah, they sent me some notes on some really weird questions that'll maybe come up later. Most of them about leafy green items in the turtles. So we'll see if that comes up.
I figured we were talking with them. So yeah, I got it.
Yeah, something about ninja rolling papers. I don't know. We'll see. I'll get to that in my notes. So, so for some of our listeners, they may with Ninja Turtles and all that. This is something that you've been there from the very beginning. You're very familiar with this, and some people may not know this, but it's Kevin Eastman's on record saying that you were his inspiration for the personality of Michelangelo. Is there any truth to that?
Well, I have to, but it came out of his mouth, so I guess it has to be true. Yeah, I mean, for a few years, I would hear at a con occasionally. He had said it in an interview, and I thought he might have been misquoted. But then it was in the Turtle Power documentary, so I gave up, dispelling the rumor. I guess it's true.
So you must really like pizza, and you skateboard, all that kind of stuff.
In younger days, the skateboarding part, many years ago. But the pizza thing goes on. Yeah, who doesn't like pizza? Come on, everybody has.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, come on. So you're from Maine. Are you a Maine surfer? Were you up there hitting those waves?
Well, no. My son probably would have gotten it. You just recently would have gotten in his wetsuit. I'm beyond the breakers at this stage. If I go too far, I'm not coming back.
No, you're just gonna keep going. Like an old sea turtle, he just heads out to sea.
Well, that would probably look exactly that way. Exactly.
That's fantastic.
When we never saw him, he should have come back in.
I didn't realize Maine was known for its waves.
Yeah, no, Maine. Actually, Maine has some good surfing. I think if Maine is known for anything, it should be mosquitoes. But that's just my preference.
Yeah, I'll be with you on that one too. But yeah, not great surfing, but certain times there's certain swells you just watch. Just like every place you watch for the right storm, you get a little bit of height to the waves. So yeah.
My experience in Maine is being called a lowlander and ordering coffee milk. That's kind of like the big Maine experience and going to the Safeway.
Where were you? Where were you at that point?
Oh, right in the center. Where they bottle the Poland Springs and all that. My uncle is a one-eyed dog catcher, former pimp in Maine. Only in Maine.
Literally sounds like a Maine joke.
Yeah, it's totally legit. He was Uncle Charlie was a dog catcher.
Uncle Charlie too.
Yeah, he was just something else.
I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah, no, it's he's not with us anymore, but he was an interesting character, and he had one eye, he had an eye patch like old Hob, and he was just, man, the stories you hear about this guy, I'm like, wow, they elected him to the dog catcher? Like, yeah.
Sounds perfect. He sounds like he came from a Stephen King movie.
He probably was his neighbor.
Yeah. So it's literally perfect. Yeah, and I can picture. That's why I thought the lowlander thing. I'm like, I had to be up mid-state because if you're along the coast, you're as low as the land can be. So we can't say that along the coast.
Yeah, it took us a little by surprise. We're like, no, we're here for the lobster. They're like, oh, you speak the language, okay? So I'm originally from Connecticut, so is Leo. So we
So I mean, it all flows over. Trust me. Yeah, there's a lot.
I'm like, hey, we're all Red Sox fans here, and they're like, oh, okay, it's okay there.
Yeah, we're all hopefully happy signed that Rafael Devers signed, and we got him for a little while because they're not doing well signing anybody else. So let's not talk about.
Oh boy, that's a whole other podcast. So and Eric's in Ohio, so he's probably you're not is it Guardians fan?
Guardians, they're the Indians now. Yeah.
Who's your team?
I'm always been a Atlanta Braves fan.
Oh, Braves. So, okay.
Yeah, Greg Maddux, the old Greg Maddux was one of my favorite pitchers.
There you go, man.
Oh, gotcha.
That's respectable too. So I understand.
I understand that.
Yeah, we look different, definitely.
Pops, we hijacked the show for tonight, so that's what we did.
So
a couple. Oh, go right ahead, Steve.
I was gonna say on the Crawlin, which I've been reading a little bit. Surprisingly, I can read it from this distance. On Instagram is fine. It's just Shellback Artworks on Facebook too.
Artworks, okay, not a problem.
Yeah. Yes, so if people go looking, they're not like, well, it wasn't the right thing, and what a jerk. Why did you do that?
Not a problem.
Well, we also have it in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. So, if you get lost, just head on into the show notes and you can find a link right there and click.
Yeah.
But you're Steve Lavigne, you're easy to find, It's,
I guess I am. I can't hide anymore. Now that Kevin's put it out, then I'm Michelangelo. I can't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's other famous things like we heard that you once signed a goat. And
the antlers. Yeah, that was actually in Maine too, which is odd, and it was in Portland, which is one of the biggest cities. You would think that would be a rural signing. I actually signed a tortoiseshell at that very same signing. The same folks. And as the story goes, they told me that they were renting a small farm, really loved their farm, had a lot of people that really enjoyed the farm, trying to drum up some press because they didn't own the farm and the owners were selling the farm and they wanted to not turn it into a bunch of condos. They wanted to remain a farm. Oh. So they were hoping that they'd get a little hype from that. So years later, I don't even know what happened. I never found out the end result of signing a goat. Very, again, I don't know if you guys have ever come face to face with a goat. It does feel a little bit like the movie Witch. You know how freaky their eyes are.
It's that sideways eye. Yeah.
This is the devil's horn, and that thing's looking at me weird, and it was cool but weird. And again, I just made sure it was okay for them, like the tortoise.
It's almost the same eye as an octopus, right? Where it's got like that weird sort of square in it.
Weird, it's going the wrong way, and it just doesn't look right. But it's a little scary, a little creepy, but it was fun.
an interesting crossover because we just had a gentleman that you just did a exclusive print for, Mr. Tom Bullman, on our show talking about his Bull Airs.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to get any of these exclusive sneakers?
Hold on.
He did. See, Leo, we came prepared.
Yeah. And
I
actually,
remember.
While he does that, Steve, I'm gonna pop you out and pop you back in because I'm getting a little bit of a fuzz. So I'm just gonna pop you out and we'll pop you back in. See if that fixes it.
Am I fuzzy?
A little bit of a fuzz, but if it doesn't clear up, I'll let you know, and maybe we'll try something.
Get the fuzz.
Is it a buzz or a fuzz? Which one is it?
Audio fuzz. Audio.
Oh man, look at these. These are Bull Air sneakers. They're custom sneakers that are made by Tom Bullman, who some listeners may know.
If you notice that, mine has my signature on the tongue.
What? Oh my god!
And you're talking about those prints.
Yeah. Tom. So I'm getting the other ones that he's doing right now. That the print comes with, which are based on the Turtle Toys. So it was fun. Tom's. You must have had fun talking to Tom.
Absolutely.
Tom is awesome. What
a
dude, man. Just getting to talk to him about like his life of doing tattoos and artwork and philosophy on like classic toys and stuff. It's like amazing.
Oh my god. Yeah. We had got to do a show in New Jersey together. We had kind of talk. So those wouldn't have never happened. That my pair of sneakers, if it wasn't for my wife. She's a great communicator. So I saw somebody had gotten a pair of these, the Jordans there that and I was like, oh man, I really want these, but I just looked up and checked online and they were sold out. That was the end of my, I'm not gonna, do anything. So my wife instantly, I'd show her them. She's behind my back. She reaches out to Tom, and his message back is like, oh my god, yes, I'll be happy to make a pair for the Steve Lavigne. And I'm like, I'm a D.
Yeah, you're kind of a big deal, believe it or not.
I know it's weird to me. Again, Kevin and Pete for the longest, most of our early career, and many years into it, Kevin and Peter, who we pointed to when somebody would come up and they'd go like, "So you created the Turtles?" It'd be like, Kevin, those guys at the other end of the table, those two did it. So just recently, I think in the last few years, I think we're getting more of the people that grew up with stuff that we work. They're more familiar with us than Kevin and Pete. Which is again very bizarre for us, And Tom is a great example. It was a blast, that he made those for me at a very reduced rate for making customs, and then again when we did the con together, we had such a blast. He had some other amazing sneakers there, but then I had the prints ready for him, and then he showed me the varsity jacket. I'm like, well, I want the whole package.
Yeah. It's like what was it, like $500 for a pre-order for this? You pick your size of shoe. He custom makes the shoe to your foot, based on the design. And they call them colorways instead of designs for the shoes. And you get an exclusive Steve Lavigne print that you cannot get anywhere else other than this. You get a jacket, which is like a starter jacket. It's got the issue 4, I think, Eric, right? Issue 4.
Yeah, it's issue 4 or the NES cover.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. NES cover that was repainted the reprint of issue 4 that Pete did originally, the green cover that was like a fold open. Great, that's the whole liner too. I'm like, oh my god, I want it just for the liner. But it's got the great patches and stuff. But
the liner. Yeah, it's reversible, like my raincoat.
For Tom. We're doing that ad for Tom. Tom, we got to send this to him so we can know how much I suck up to him all the time. He's incredibly
we will definitely do that.
He's incredibly talented. And again, if you haven't gone to the Bull Airs thing, the sneakers, he's making my wife a pair. When we were out to dinner, just before we got there, my wife is not a sneakerhead in any way, shape, or form, but a big, gigantic, because of Bohemian Rhapsody, Freddie Mercury nerd. So he actually is doing her pair of Freddie Mercury sneakers. He sent the designs already. Like 2 weeks later, these very cool designs, and I was like, "Oh my god, they're beautiful! They're perfect!"
Wow.
Just
are they yellow?
No, he did the white, red, and is it
more like a day at the races type of stuff?
No, Yes, it's the yellow upper jacket with the red and white striped pants. So that's kind of the body of the sneakers. I think the swoosh is the mustache.
Nice.
And then he did some like custom art for the the inner sneaker thing. Again, the guy is a gifted artist. Everything he touches.
My favorite album is Jazz. So just any Queen listening fans out there know that.
There we go. That's a great album. Yeah. It's so my wife grew up, I saw Queen back in the day and it was incredible. It was one of my favorite concerts. But it's just funny. My wife is just, turned into the biggest nerd because of Bohemian Rhapsody, almost to the point of nausea. It's just like, okay, no, I didn't know that about Freddie. No, I didn't know that about Freddie. Oh, no, I didn't know that. So anyway,
it's so funny watching that one too. Like, I don't know if everybody else saw Bohemian Rhapsody, but there's a definite difference between that film and then if you watch Rocket Man. You're like, oh, okay. Well, this actually shows some negative things happening to the main character, kind of, because at Bohemian Rhapsody, like the it's kind of like, okay, it's not as bad as maybe it actually happened, and it's like, okay, maybe it's a little watered down, but the performance is fantastic. Rami Malek.
Oh yeah, it was very good. I thought it was, again, different than I ever thought the band interacted. Two members of the band still alive were part of it, so I mean. I'd like to think that they wouldn't have led us astray.
Yeah, and Brian May is an astrophysicist, so who are we to argue?
And a knight, right? Didn't he just get knighted?
I think you're right. Yeah.
There you go.
Wouldn't that be great?
Queen. We've covered Tom. We've covered Queen. Were we talking about anything else tonight?
Well, we could talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart because I had mentioned one of the characters previously that you had created. One of my all-time favorites. This is a beloved character, and I'm talking about Cuddly the Cowlick. Listeners, if you don't know what this is a giant disembodied head of a cow, right? And he's trans-dimensional, trans-time and space. He's basically like a portal or a wormhole that takes the turtles.
I like to floating intergalactic cowhead. That's what he is. He kind of traveled through time and space, mainly space. Probably could do time. Who knows? Cuddly. So Cuddly was a weird one. So, I guess you must have grown up with the Archie series, the Adventure series. So,
a couple things on my wall, but
Dean Clarraine, which you now all know as adults, was Steve Murphy. And Steve Murphy was a writer at Mirage. His book Puma Blues. I don't know if you guys ever looked into him, but Puma Blues is just one of the best books from back in the day. Won a lot of awards.
Yeah.
And so that's why he wrote as Dean Clarraine, because he didn't want to sour it. Like Stan Lee didn't want to sour his name from when he became famous. Same with Murph. So Murph kind of, in the storyline, came up with Cuddly. There he is.
Very nice.
There's that floating cowhead. And he just kind of threw it at me to design him. So that's kind of what I came up with. He did almost become a toy. Almost.
Oh, man.
They actually did a design for Playmates. I souped him up a little bit, so he was going to be big enough that you could jam at least one, maybe two turtle figures in his mouth to bring him out into the other dimension. Because they were going to maybe do the wrestling turtles. That was another.
I would have lost my mind if they did the wrestling turtles.
And so you would shove him in, and all I modified him with is I kind of put a big V8 engine and pipes kind of coming up where his lower part was. It was just kind of a round thing floating, just to, jazz him up for a toy. But you'd unscrew that and dump the figures out afterwards once you got to the, to the arena. So I think it was just kind of, they were, there was a lot of stuff we designed that they just kind of like, let's see what it would look like.
I love the unbridled creativity of basically like whatever you guys could do. Like, oh, let's think of something ridiculous, and like between like Ryan Brown, like hearing about that and all that, and be like, hey, let's try. Well, this guy's a tree stump, and this guy's like something with like plant. Like, what is sling? And then you just kind of run with it.
Yeah. So one, it's basically Donald Trump and Don King, stump and sling. So Trump.
Oh no, friggin' kidding. I did not know that.
Yeah, so that's they were the shameless promoters even back then. That again, we won't talk politics because I don't know anybody's politics.
No, that's great insight though as the characters, because now reading them through an adult's eye, those two characters have been in the IDW series, and they were there for like the Krang War and stuff.
Yeah, see, it's so funny. I'd like to say I'm a good soldier and I read everything and do everything with the turtles. You can probably see some stuff like NECA stuff in the back. I hate myself, literally hate myself, because let me see, I'll step aside. There's some NECA over here, and behind you over there, there's a wall with a bunch of NECA stuff on it that I'm ashamed to show you. Only because they do such a great job. Super 7 and them have done a wonderful job, recreating your childhoods. But NECA, I started with the cartoon series with the Splinter and Baxter.
Oh, yeah, great figures.
I just came across it in like a Target, and I was like, whoa, all the cool stuff that they have with it, Renaissance book. And I was like, this is so, why didn't they do this and play, for a Splinter and play? Again, I'm not blaming Playmates. They really didn't have. I don't think they had the later figures are so much better than the 10 back. You guys all know that. We have the squatting, cooping shredder still. That's.
Yep.
Hey, Ira! I see Ira popping in. Say hi to him for me. Hey, Ira. I missed him at. I usually see him at the show, so I missed seeing him at NECC this year. So, anyways. Getting back to Cuddly, so Cuddly, Steve Murphy was doing all that, like coming up with Love That, the Stump and the Sling. There was so much education you guys were getting as little kids, because Murph was writing a lot of, I was just talking to Ryan just the other day, because we do stuff occasionally. I think I was wishing him a Merry Christmas. And I got talking about Murph in the book, because somebody recently had talked about the Columbus issue.
Yep.
And it was very straightforward that, it wasn't a hero issue. And I had done new covers for a lot of that stuff for IDW when they were collecting them in big volumes. I just, Brian was inking some of them too. But anyways, it was just funny to go through that stuff. And I was talking about some of the stories that Murph was getting in there. And they were crazy great, all of them were, there were some of them were just to exploit characters that we wanted to get into the toy line. I'm still mad they never made Code Maine Chameleon. That was one of my characters.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And he had two full issues and he never got in, so there's a bunch of, there, like I was saying, there's so many characters, because Carl from Playmates used to come twice a year and with a wish list of what they wanted mutated. And they would also, at the same time, I think they would do Varner Studios. They'd send them the same list and meet with them. And it was, so we got to we'd flip coins. Ryan got the majority of the toys, and I was kind of like, I've been telling somebody recently, I was trying to do the math, and I was like, okay, I was having little kids. He has no children. I was taking time off. I was saying no to so much stuff, because I was already committed to so much other work and continuing to do, covers for the regular book, painting all the RT covers, doing any, toys, design, anything. We all didn't know how to say no. We were all young and, just smart enough to say yes all the time. So I love.
That's good. That's why we ended up with Macaroni and Cheese and Chef Boyardee and Hostess Turtle Pies, which need to come back desperately.
Yes, I like to have that, so I can put it part of my collection.
I have a scented candle in there, so
the macaroni and cheese, Kraft macaroni and cheese scented candle.
No, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies.
oh my God!
Yeah.
What's it, like an apple smell?
I do have a pizza scented candle though. Did I send you that, Eric? Because
no,
awful.
I did not know that. And
Yeah,
if
I
it's
gave it out
awful,
as a
no, I
prize once.
do not want it. I'm good. I'm good.
That's totally. That's a.
A slice is probably sufficient. It kind of in our house, if you warm up a slice, you just have to have your door open and you can smell it. So
I got pizza shelves.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
there you go. There you go.
I wanted to just
I'm
go
good.
back to Cuddly for just a second, then I'll move on, I promise, because Cuddly recently is showing up as a surprise in Armageddon Game issue 3, and he's taking Leonardo and Shredder into the interdimensional slipstream. So now a character that you designed is transcending, 20 to 28 years later. Have you gotten a chance to see him in the IDW series at all?
No, but I wish they would have let me do a cover. I would have loved
Yeah.
to do a cover with Cuddly. That would have been a blast. Yeah,
We loved your Ronin covers. Like I bought the set. So I think
that's
Jetpack
okay.
Comics had the set. I loved them.
I'll tell you, it was so much fun working with Kevin. Like on the issue 5 cover we did, only because over the years, I worked with Eastman Laird. Like I always call them one person because they would pencil and ink. And literally every page was Eastman Laird in every book because there was not one. They ink, pencil, tighten up pencil, and it was both of them on all the pages. So Eastman Laird always did everything until color. And then when I got to start doing the color, it was so much fun working with both Kevin and Pete on a lot of stuff, whether it was the, early graphic novels or eventually their covers. But, for the Last Ronin, it was so much fun to ink Kevin and color Kevin. I was like, okay, that just hasn't happened in probably since we lived together, and we just goof around, and he inks something for a con sketch, and I'd ink one of his con sketches, and we'd sell him at the con and never see him again. So it was
that's so cool. I kind of want to segue to the Last Ronin, but I have one more Cuddly question because Cuddly to me,
move along.
Ever since I was a kid, I hear one voice for Cuddly, and it's Emo Phillips. Who is your voice for Cuddly if you were to hear him talk?
Wow,
because I hear him go, "It's time, turtles." It's like,
oh, I can hear Emo doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I portray him on our show too.
It's so funny. I love that you guys think about it that much. That is a bizarre thing.
Thank
what? You. Now that you put that in my head, that's all I can hear. I just wouldn't want it to be a British Doctor Who. That's all I. And I want it to be somebody with a a Bobcat Goldthwait, or Emo would be.
He's perfect. My neighbor. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he lives about 4 blocks away from me here in Illinois. So,
well,
true story, folks.
Be the voice of Cuddly for the animated Cuddly or whatever.
They'd be like, "Hey, turtles, how you doing?"
Who knows now that with Paramount, they're gonna start launching shows. Maybe there'll be a Cuddly, they need a space thing, so maybe they'll use Cuddly. Who knows?
Has anybody talked to you about making a figure for NECA?
No. Somebody mentioned it though, and I'm trying to think if it was NECA. I've been talking. It was weird. Every once in a while, I did some work for limited run for the Shredder's Revenge for the Physical World video game. I designed a play set and some other stuff that I won't talk about because
I think you have that, Eric. In that
what, Shredder's Revenge? I think I got like 2 or 3 different versions of the Shredder's Revenge, and PS4 I think I got like 3 different
because I did so the playset that Tim Laddie, who now does the Saturday morning show, he ended up taking it over because they were really slow and they weren't sure of what they wanted, so I was doing a lot of drawing and running into a wall because they were asking for different things. But anyways, so I did some of that, but going back to the toys and the Cuddly thing, I talked to Super 7 because they're doing Sergeant Bananas.
Yes, that's right. That's going to be in that's the wave that's kind of pushed back, I think. Was it like wave 5?
I believe so. I talked to Augie there, and he was telling me he's massive. He said the bazooka that comes with him is as big as a turtle. The turtle.
Oh,
figures.
wow.
So he's a big figure, but they were having an issue because Playmates was not letting him use Sergeant Bananas. Originally he hit like Turtle Magazine as Gorilla. And so they're going to release him as Gorilla, which I said, I did a licensing piece of artwork. Again, that's probably directly behind me on the wall too, that was used on things, but nothing. I said, I've got some tea or something from Japan. I'm not even sure if it's a broth or it's
like banana tea.
But it has Sergeant Bananas on it, and I said I couldn't find it because they were just like anything other than the toy, because Playmates owns that name. So,
and it's so crazy. That's like Super Troopers with like the little monkey that they had on those bags of weed.
Oh yeah,
that's so crazy.
me and Ryan Brown, we did the licensing style guides, so we would try to put our characters in as much as humanly possible for people to put on products. You know, hey, we got this monkey character. They have no idea who it is. You know, put him on my backpack. You know,
so you see a lot of Leatherhead or Worm or
exactly. Well, exactly. The early times we saw Worm. I've got a bunch of licensing out. Leatherhead is all over the place. That was one of Ryan's first characters. So
he's going to be in the new movie. We just found out Leatherhead's going to be in this
Seth Rogen movie?
Mutant Mayhem.
Oh, awesome.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, breaking news.
Oh, nice.
Wow. All right.
Very nice.
You know, I've had very little knowledge. I saw some toy images recently of that. Interesting though. I mean, they don't seem to really look as good as the art. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. I don't know.
I'm going to be open-minded about it because
I'm trying to be.
I was really surprised by that movie they released for the Rise of the TMNT, because the movie was great, and I didn't really connect with the Rise TV series. It wasn't for me.
I'm going to 100% you. I tried so hard because, I mean, again, Kevin and Pete, even in the early days of the book, they were so free, letting everybody play in their toy box. You know, do whatever they wanted with their turtles. Sometimes it angered fans because of the look or whatever, whether it was Michael Zulli or Todd McQueenie, whatever. These guys, they just had fun with them. Mark Martin, doing whatever he wanted. So to see every incarnation, we've always been I always defend them. I had a little bit of trouble with the Rise. The show, I just couldn't wrap my head around the 15-minute things and blah, blah, blah. And it was okay. I'm like, then I watched the movie. Just because, it's free, I'm going to give it a watch. Loved it. Why didn't they start with the movie and work their way backwards? What that would work. That would work much better with the series. I would have loved the series if I saw it in reverse.
Yeah, I agree, because it gives gravitas and pathos to characters that, like, you don't know who they are to start off with. You're like just trying to figure out, why is Raphael Leonardo and why is Leonardo Michelangelo? I don't get it, so you just have to kind of go through that.
And again, I guess the only other reason I didn't dig it is that the boys are all the same turtles. And I didn't like how this is a snapping turtle and he's big and this is and I was like, no, they're all the same turtles. They all came from the same bowl. You can't mix turtles. They kill each other, so I was like,
that's a really good point. He's a Mata. No, he's not.
No. So yeah, I mean, but again, yeah, I mean, that was one of the Rise was. I'm with you. The Rise, they should have done it that way. It was much. So I'm very interested to see what happens with the.
Oh yeah. Man. I'm going to check it out no matter what. I mean, it's going to be free on Paramount on August 8th or something like that. So I'm like, I know where I'll be. I'll be watching that.
I mean, and again, I'm just the Seth Rogen, his writing partner. I just love the initial little thing they put out with the piece of lined notebook paper with scribbling on it. I was like, that's genius. Kind of making it more teenagey. More you're a jerk. Because you're not cool. Whatever. It seems like he's going to have fun with that interaction. It may not be as action filled. I don't know. I might be completely wrong.
Well, it's interesting too, because they did a good job. It's not exactly hit or miss, because I know a lot of people who have seen what did he do? Not Prophet. What was it? Preacher. A lot of people have seen Preacher, and it's not as comic faithful. So that's kind of a miss in most fans that I've heard, at least. But if you talk about shows like The Boys or Invincible, those are absolute stellar hits, on their track record.
Yeah,
so they're batting better than 60% in my book.
And I hate to say, I backed my way in from the show Preacher to the comic, and because I really dug the show, and I knew it was a comic. I am not a good comic book fan. I used to buy when we were working regularly in the studio. We'd go every Tuesday and buy stacks and stuff. I end up with stacks of books that I probably still have not read. They're probably pristine, in a box somewhere. Lots of great comics that I brought home and put into piles. So I stopped buying unless somebody really recommends something, So like I said, with Preacher, I backed my way into it and dug it. But fingers crossed we get a I'm hoping that hits, and I'm hoping Paramount, because it is their baby. It's Viacom's only superhero group.
Yep.
There's a wealth of characters there, that they can build around. I mean, they could do a time travel show with Renette and Savante Romero, and
do it.
And not even bring any turtles into it for a long, long time. They could just. I know that they are working on some shows, or I have heard through the rumor mills that they're doing. I guess kind of similar to what Paramount's doing with Villains on their network. The Penguin's going to get a show, stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe they'll do a Rat King. I can't. Maybe they'll do a Shredder Foot thing before, like a Rise of the
Secret
Foot.
History of the Foot Clan would be a cool thing.
We're
hoping for some animated films. That I would love to see
Ronin.
that.
Yeah,
we had a gentleman on from Sweden. Shout out to our friend Magnus. He did a 3-minute animated short of The Last Ronin. Did you get a chance to watch that?
And online, it's really, really cool. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now,
again,
you must have seen this from the beginning, right? Last Ronin from the beginning, like with Kevin.
Yeah, but it was so funny. Like, I didn't realize. I mean, I forget how smart those two guys were. They're just two of my idiot friends. They wrote the skeleton for the story in '87. That's mind blowing. They were thinking that, and it kind of was so funny. Like when I was talking to Kevin about it, we were like going back and forth, and because I did a cover for the first one, and I didn't have a lot of information, so we were kind of talking about stuff, and the first thing he said to me, he said, which turtle it is? And I'm like, well, my money would put it on Leo Terrafiel. I said that, that I would go like, that would be, what the odds makers would go with. I said, and he goes, Mikey. And I was like, no. And he goes, yeah. And I said, so I literally said, why? Why? And he said to me, first is last.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
So
exactly what I was thinking too.
The very first turtle I ever did was Michelangelo, the one with the nunchucks on his arms. And I was like, shit, you guys are smart.
Yeah.
Oh, God, you guys were thinking that back then? And he goes, yeah. We were just trying to think which turtle survived.
All the speculation, man. And I mean, the only thing we could come up with is that it would either be Donatello or Mikey, because they're the only ones that make sense with story. Because Leo would be the one to sacrifice himself, and Raph would be the one to get him killed. Sorry, Eric, because Raph is your guy. But Raph would be the one to go off and get himself killed, and Leo would sacrifice himself. Look what happened in the story. So anyone who has listened to this and has not read the Last Ronin, do yourselves a favor. Go out, pick it up. You can get the entire collection on Amazon for $29.99. Usually it's on sale. Or check out our episode, Epic Tales from the Sewers, the long cut, where you can hear a voice-acted entire 5-issue series. So,
that's very cool. That's very cool. Hey, you got to look up. So, you might be able to find at least one of them online on YouTube. When you said voice acting, me and Mark Bodie, back in the early days, Mark did a couple of Mirage books. So he did a kind of a Enter the Dragon, Enter the Shell book for Mirage, and we used to we did it at San Diego, and we did it at a few other big cons. We did a cartoon concert where we did all the voices and all the sound effects, and the panels were projected behind us.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was really cool. And I think we did another one. He did a time one too, and I think that one you can find on YouTube. It was a lot of fun. So that made me think of it when you said voice actor. That's a very cool idea, to do that.
We kind of cover the IDW series and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventure series and Last Ronin. So that's why Cuddly is so huge for me, because I mean, we just finished Codename Chameleon and Intergalactic Wrestling and all that, and all of that. So I'm doing all these voices and all that, and that's why I think about what Cuddly would sound like, or what Chameleon or those guys. So it makes
a lot more sense now. Makes a lot.
We're talking with people are like, are we high, or what are they talking about?
Yeah, no, I love voices. I love doing voice acting. I love that stuff. That Kevin did a voice, right?
No, I didn't know that. Whose voice did he do?
So in the 2012 Nickelodeon series, He is Ice Cream Kitty.
No kidding.
Yes, he is. Meow, 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 meow.
Wow. I love Ice Cream Kitty, and I know there's some polarization about it because they're like, we want Clunk, and Clunk is Michelangelo's cat for those who don't know. But Ice Cream Kitty is a mutated kitty that lives in the freezer in the 2012 Ninja Turtle series and is a delight.
I love that series.
It is Kevin Eastman. So.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Did not know that.
Yeah, wow, all these little nuggets that you're throwing at us.
I know.
That's
What
cool.
the hell? I figure you guys have all this stuff. Come on.
But
just real quick, I did find a picture of Cuddly from IDW.
Nice.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so they kept him pretty true. They didn't really change him.
Moo.
Yeah.
He needs to be friendly too. That's the whole thing. He can't be like salty and grizzled and all that.
No, it looked like they took an eye away from him, but I think it's just shadowed out. I think because I was like, wait, did they pluck an eye from Cuddly? He can only turn left.
Yeah, exactly. He's like Zoolander.
It's a race car. It's a race car.
He's like a NASCAR. He can only turn.
Yeah, NASCAR. Hey, make another left turn.
Yeah, he's gonna have like Ricky Bobby. He's gonna have like Wonder Bread over his face. And all that.
Exactly.
Or shake and bake.
There's all over his thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Now you've got a book coming up that I saw, the Last Ronin, the Lost Years, where you're working on a cover with Jim Lawson. This looks great. And do you have any insight into this series that's coming out? Because it'll be out next month, I believe.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you another great story about that one. So we had to have that done in early September. It's coming out. It just came out. Did it come out yet? I'm not even sure.
No, it's not out yet.
25th in January is when it's supposed to come out.
So
that's right, this month.
We had to have that done in early September. So we had just done the Granite State Comic Con, which is kind of the most recent, what would be a true Turtle Con.
Oh, yeah.
So it was insane and stuff. So I just managed to pencil the cover ahead and bring it for Jim there. So anyways, prior to that, I was like, okay, so we're doing a cover. I know it's a prequel. I know there's some little glimpses of what might be going on in the story. So I reached out because Ben Bishop lives here in Maine. So I instantly just was like, Ben must already have the script. I'll ask Ben.
He's bragging about it in the Bish Kids chat every day.
I don't appreciate him.
So I'm like, hey, what's up with the Last Ronin book? He goes, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? I said, the only image I've seen is the cover that you and Kevin did that's on everything, like Michelangelo walking in the snow. And then he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, what goes on? And he's like, I don't know. Call Kevin. And I'm like, all right, I'll call Kevin. So I called Kevin and I'm like, hey. And he's like, what's up? And I'm like, so me and Jim are doing the Last Ronin cover. But we don't know what's going on story-wise. And the only image that I've seen is, the one you and Ben did of Michelangelo walking in the snow. And he's like, yeah. And like, so you got anything for me? Any story? He goes, no. I'm like, what do you mean? No? He goes, I haven't wrote it yet. I said, right now, he goes, like, IDW right now has got me doing a bunch of stuff for the Saturday morning thing. They got me spread thin. He goes, the only thing that I've done for it is that cover. I'm like, you don't have any like character sketches about anybody that's going to be in this thing? He goes, no. So we submitted like 5 or 6. I did one jokingly like of Michelangelo with like a Yeti behind him in the snow, like, maybe a Yeti, like we did. And Jim did like him fighting a couple monks training, and all these other variations, but they're like, cool, love it, but don't know if it happens. Cool, love it. The only one they picked, both Jim and I had different variations of him climbing, and they picked the one I penciled, and then Jim inked it and I painted it. But so we were working completely blind. Still have no idea what the first issue's about.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So they didn't go for the one you had with him working at McDonald's, huh?
No, I haven't even a funny one that I won't tell you about that is not proper for anybody to see. That was because of the turtle's height and the Bigfoot, what you would actually see on a Bigfoot if it was standing behind the turtle. Unless
it's a boy.
Like, what is that? A woolly mammoth behind him? No, it's a But
now, see, that
one
would be produced by Seth Rogen. So.
Yes, that one I sent to Jim, and we had a good laugh, and then I just jokingly sent one, with a more traditional Bigfoot just kind of behind him, and I was like, turtle's this high, Bigfoot's that high. What, you're not going to see his arms and his head, So,
oh man, that is too funny.
Yeah, looking forward to that series as well. I hopefully I can do another cover. I'm going to reach out to Kevin and see if we can maybe do another final cover. Who knows?
Yeah, Eric was saying the 25th is 25th.
Yeah, the 25th. But I mean, we all know how the Ronin has been the past, let's say, 3 years.
I think you're right.
It was November. Well, and the weirdest thing was they jumped right into that and announced it without any, pre-thought being done to it or whatever. That just seems a little insane to me. And I don't know if there's any IDW. I know Charles is the editor, but he edits the Saturday morning thing. But, it just seems, I know that the Turtles really help them stay afloat.
Well, I mean, they don't have G.I. Joe or Ghostbusters or Jen holograms, like all these licenses that they've just lost with IDW. Yeah. So it's like, this is your bread and butter. But it's also the most successful independent comic book, probably of all time at this point. The Last Ronin.
Yeah. I mean, it was the number one book, at least one issue 3. One of them I know was the number one book in the country, which I remember seeing Pete, going to visit Pete, and he hasn't really been following it that much. And I said, we're out for a walk, and I said, hey, man, you know that your name is on the number one book in the country right now? He's like, what are you talking about? I said, Last Ronin is the number one book. He goes, no. And I was like, yeah. He was blown away by that. He's like, yeah. He said, I really don't have any. Kevin took our skeleton and put flesh to it. So he always feels a little like
so
he's
humble,
not.
Man.
Yeah,
that's
but
crazy.
I mean, again, that's Pete, and again, that's why they work. They always work so good together. It's too bad that I'm glad they're friends again. Like there was a time where that was not on the table for a little while, but I'm just glad. I'm happy my two dads are back together. That's all I care about.
Do you ever watch something like the movies and you're like, oh, that's totally Pete, or oh my god, that is so Kevin?
Oh yeah. I mean, the books were like that. I mean, and again, the early books, because it was, we would just, the stupid stuff that would fly out of our faces ended up in, the mouths of the Turtles or Casey or somebody, and it was just funny to see it, and funny to us, to kind of see that stuff. Yeah. There's so much of everybody in them, and you see everyone's favorite turtle when they get to do a story. Everyone seems to favor a certain turtle, when they're writing. So it's interesting.
That's the whole thing. Is like the Turtles are so easy to relate to. Like I relate a lot to Raphael. I mean, everybody has their own way to relate to him. They're just, like I said, there's a lot of people that could just relate to the Turtles because of the different kind of attitudes that they have.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when I'm at a con and somebody asks, because I feel exactly the same way. I mean, the beauty of the Turtles, unlike any other superheroes, they don't look like anybody. So the only way you can really relate to them is their attributes, their personality, and what they like and what they're like. So usually one of my first things when I see somebody at a con, I'm like, so do you have a favorite turtle? And instantly I have a little bit about you. You like Raphael, so you're a nice guy, get a little bit of a hothead, It might get a little angry over a little too quickly and have to back yourself away from it. That's annoying, but I mean, that's just it. It's so much fun. And when I was a kid, I always joke when we play in the neighborhood, Super Friends was on TV, the Hall of Justice. And I had hair at that time and it was blonde. Unfortunately, who was the only blonde characters? It's Aquaman. So everybody I want to be Batman. Like, no, Batman has brown hair. I'm like, how do you know he's got a cowl on? They're like, when he doesn't. And I'm like, oh, so yeah.
Unless he's played by Val Kilmer, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's no fun playing Super Friends out in the yard and trying to swim in grass, and go.
You're like, seagulls are on land and water.
Right. I can control water though too, so I can drown you assholes.
Yeah, exactly.
Swim that.
Did you have a favorite character that you got a chance to do? Because I remember reading something about how excited you were to get to do a Batman cover.
Yeah. That was
hey, shout out to Todd.
Yeah, but I mean, if I have to for realsies say it, I mean, Batman, and it was the animated series, so I'm a gigantic nerd for that. I mean, I have all the figures and bought the, you buy the comic religiously, love that. So, basically all I heard was, hey, can you draw Batman? Then was a loud ringing. But at the end of it, I said, sure. Yeah. Turtles. Yep. So but it was so much fun. And again, awesome at that particular moment in time. I think I still had Shellback open, and I had penciled it in, and I don't know how I got Pete involved, but Pete inked it.
That's so cool.
Inked that cover, and I was like, oh, and then Ben Bishop colored it.
Oh wow!
Which was very bizarre. Because Ben's got the black and white, and he's coloring it digitally, and he sends me pictures with he's got the soundtrack to Batman the Animated Series playing. I'm like, I don't even go that deep in, and he's coloring it, and I get it, and I'm like, huh, I was thinking Red Sky, like that's the Animated Series stuff, but
yeah,
he went his own way with it, and it came out great, but I was like, there's a lot of weird choices there. And then I asked him, because he had colored another cover for me. It was an adventure series for IDW. And again, the colors were a little weird. And I said, yeah, I just kind of said something like something was muted or something. He goes, yeah. He goes, well, I sample them. And I said, oh, you sample them? And like, from what? He goes, from like the pages in the book. Like, I'll find a page and I'll sample it, and just use the color directly. I'm like, oh, I would just make my own. He goes, he's colorblind.
I did not know this.
You're colorblind and you color two covers? How do you? I wouldn't even dare to do that, But it was just so funny that he didn't even, it was like, wow, that's cool. Good for you, because he hadn't done a lot of stuff and he was looking to get his name on some stuff. So I knew he was a Maine boy. I wanted to give him some stuff, and he asked to color those things. And I was just so funny that he was like, I'm colorblind. I'm like, oh, huh. I guess I would never.
I knew Tim Sale was colorblind. I did not know that Ben Bishop was, but I can tell you, you'd be hard pressed to find bigger fans around than Eric and myself. We're both in his Bish Kids club.
Ben doesn't color a lot of his stuff. I don't think he colors much at all of any of it now. So yeah, it's funny. Yeah, And Ben, when I had Shellback hours, it's so funny. Ben and I are good friends, but he said, yeah, I came into your shop. I said, you did? Before he actually came and did a signing, he said, yeah, I came into your shop one time. And I said, you did? Was I here? He goes, yeah. And I said, did you talk to me? He goes, no, I didn't say anything. I said, you didn't say anything? I had a gallery. He said, I went up to the gallery and I came down and I said, thank you, and left. And I was like, why didn't you say anything to me? And he goes, I was nervous.
Oh.
I was like, wow, you missed out, man. I'm pretty easy to get along with, So, but again, now we've become great friends, and Tim and Joe, those are all the young boy artists that live near me, and I get to hang out with Schmalky and him and Bob Kasich.
Bob was our guest not too long ago on the Splash Pages Comic Club.
Yeah,
which you've also been a guest on. So,
yeah,
I think we had a question there, Leo, right?
we do, and we are at time, so I'll ask.
I can go a little long if you guys have a few questions.
Yeah. Todd is asking, what was your favorite classic TMNT Mirage comic that you've worked on?
Wow. Okay. Well, I really liked Return to New York. That story. Excuse me. Sorry about that. That kind of story arc is some of my favorite stuff. But if I had to go one single issue, it embarrasses the hell out of Jim Lawson, but I always love I Monster, the first Rat King Tales book. The cover I colored Jim. We would go back and forth. if he drew, he would draw it. I would always color them. He'd get one, I'd get the next one, and somehow I missed out on that particular cover, but it remains one of my all-time favorite color pieces I've ever done. And it's all just kind of watercolor dye, nothing fancy other than a little bit of airbrush for the sky. But it's one of my favorite things. So always loved that story. I don't know why, it just really resonated with me. It's just when me and Jim do a show together, we did a panel at the Grand Estate show, and I think that came up, and Jim's always like, humble man. We all are, we all know we did cool stuff, but I mean, we all did a lot of cool stuff. We all are proud of what we did, but again, it's humbling, of course, when we all point out each other's stuff, like, oh, I was like that, and that's always one of my favorite things, one of my favorite issues. So, yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, I'm excited by that. I did want to ask one last thing. You did a cover for Token With issue 2 with Steve Mando. Can you talk a little bit about that? Mardo. I'm sorry, I said Mando.
That's okay.
I was thinking Mandalorian.
Mandalorian. That was a lot of fun. Well, the guys. So I met them at a Gary Summers New England NECC show. And they hadn't even, the first issue hadn't come out yet, and they were walking around with they had already made hoodies for themselves, and I think they had T-shirts on under the hoodies for themselves. And I just happened, I was looking, and I have been a partaker of the herbal enjoyments over the years. So I
imagine with some of those characters, that's where Cuddly came from.
We're not going to blame the pot for
listening
that.
to a King Crimson album and a giant cow head comes floating into your mind.
Hey, people used to blame the Turtles on pot, but Pete, I think in his entire life I know that one time he took a hit off a joint with me. So, but that's the only time I know that he's ever done anything like that. So that we're not going to blame pot for everything bad in the world, including the Turtles. So when they approached me, they're very, them, very likable dudes. They were blah, blah, blah. Would you ever do a cover? And I was like, oh, yeah, whatever. When you get the first issue, we'll talk. So then I started another Gary show, I think it was the following year. I don't think we're set up yet at the show. They may have been. I might be wrong there. But anyways, after hours drinking, they cornered me. I think one of them held both my arms behind my back, and one of them just started beating me about the head and shoulders until I was bleeding and I couldn't think right, and asked me if I'd do a cover, and I said, sure. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had never drawn, it was more pot than I've ever drawn in my entire life, so how can I go wrong? And I got
right.
I got to draw, but the only thing was, initially they said, we want a girl zombie, and I was like, okay, but we want her sexy. And I was like, nope. They're like, what do you mean? I said, I'm not drawing a sexy zombie. I'm not that guy. If I'm drawing a zombie, it's going to be gory. Some guts could be hanging out. So the best they gave him was a cut-off T-shirt with a little zombie underboob.
Oh, okay.
But nothing sexy. Those guts hanging out from there down. It was a lot of fun, though, again. And, of course, I had got to do them, but I did them as silhouettes and got to draw some other zombies wading through the field of weed. So it was a lot of fun. And it was funny. I was just in Belgium at a Comic-Con, and I happened to have that in my portfolio, and I forgot it was in there. So that everyone's looking through turtle. What the hell? So I had to stop a few people that had little kids. I'm like, beyond here is some Murder Hobo covers in.
Yeah, that's right, Murder Hobo. Yep.
Yeah. So I said, you can probably stop here with the kids. And then I was some other people got there, and they were like, and they loved the Token Dead cover, or Token with the Dead as it is now cover so much. And I'm like, they were just like, oh. And they spoke kind of broken French because I was in Belgium.
Everyone sounds like Christopher Lambert. There can be only one.
Well, some people spoke. I felt like an idiot because everyone either spoke a little bit of broken English, but most people spoke, Danish or French, And but anyways, it was just funny how big that went over, and they just loved the weed in the foreground. I'm like, wow, okay, I guess I looked at the right photo reference.
That's great. And the guys wanted me to remind everybody that the book will be out within the next 3 months. So the novel, I should say, not the book.
Oh, the graphic novel. Okay.
It will be out within the next 3 months. They've spoken to the publisher. I spoke to Jeff about this earlier before the show, and they said everything's proceeding forward. So we should be looking forward to seeing that soon.
And they've got cartoons, and they got a show, and I'm sure they have their own line of bongs coming, do they? Did they already have that?
Papers.
I feel like I'm getting old. I'm like, do kids use bongs anymore?
You can get I forget the name of the bong with the spikes in it, but yeah, you know, you can get one for your house now, you know.
Yeah, Billy Bong Thornton, Wesley Pipes, you know.
Right, exactly. Exactly, yes.
I want to thank you again for being a guest, and you know, I apologize. You know, things kind of got mixed up, and
no. And again, if you guys want me on Tales from the Sewer, Epic Tales from Sewer,
thank you for being the first person to ever get it correct.
let me know.
I know it's a mouthful.
Yeah, but it's okay. I see a lot of your stuff on Instagram, the polls, but I feel like, no, I'm not going to chime in. I don't want to chime in. But I'll chime in now. I'll try to chime in every now and then. I'm not.
Fantastic.
I'm as good of messaging people on Instagram as I am an Instagrammer. I don't know if you follow me, but you know, you get them sparsely. Sometimes you get like 3, and then it's 7 months before you get another thing. But I'm always happy that people always seem to like it when I put it up. So,
well, the good news is we'll have far fewer Cuddly the Cowlick questions, but we'll move on to other things.
That's fine.
Go right ahead.
Never mind cuddly questions.
That's good. And as cuddly as we are, and as cuddly as we have been, if you enjoy your regular Token With program, we will be back to that next week when the guys will be back and they will have a special guest. If you've enjoyed our show, you can check us out at Epic Tales from the Sewers, anywhere that you find podcasts, on YouTube, on Instagram, at Epic Shells or Epic Sewers. And with that, I'll pass it back to Mr. Leo Pond.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. And for me, just Google Leo Pond. You find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. I'm not going to say which is which, but I run the Dorkening Podcast Network. We got a ton of awesome shows on the network, a lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff. Head on over to thedorkening.com. You can see all the latest episodes there. And we're actually about to do another live show at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so stay tuned for that. And so Steve, you mentioned Instagram, but where do you like people interacting with you, contacting you, reaching out to you?
You know what, if you really want an answer, you can go through I know a lot of people don't use Facebook that much anymore, but Shellback Artworks on Facebook. My wife handles that. She puts up a lot of stuff, but we find stuff in the basement. We're about to do a blind box that will be including sketches, and 3 out of the 30 will get a Peter Laird head sketch. Yeah, they're going to have comics, some random comics.
Quick, somebody resuscitate Eric.
Yeah.
Hold on. If you got 1 second before you go, I'll just show you.
Oh, we do.
I got plenty. I got all night. I mean, I got all
I
night.
just saw these on Instagram.
Look,
actually,
I'm telling you, I'll take you through a tour of my room, Steve.
I'll little preview like some of the. So these are like the type of sketches that you'll get from me.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
And you know, like something like you might get a screw loose or something with.
Oh, nice.
I want one.
Or Eric, you might get something like that, perhaps, if you'd like. You know.
Oh, see that. You're killing me, Small.
Oh my
You're killing
God.
me. Like.
Anyway, so you can look for that. That'll be up on Facebook. Like I said, we've got a bunch of prints that are down in the basement. That we have a few that it's just going to have a bunch of weird stuff. Prints, some books, and stuff. All stuff will be signed. And like I said, we'll probably do 30, and 3 of them. So you'll get a chance, a 1 in 30 chance of getting a Peter Laird head sketch. There'll be 3 of them mixed in. We won't know the numbers. But again, so Facebook is probably the best thing. I'm going to try to get better in the next year about sharing everything over to the Instagram stuff. And You won't catch me TikToking. Sorry, folks.
We don't
It's
TikTok.
Yeah.
We will make sure to share your stuff in the Dorkening and in the Epic Shells Facebook group.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll take care of you whenever we see you post.
Yeah. Please, anybody can feel free to share anytime. That always makes me happy. And again, I appreciate you guys. It's always great. I mean, again, to be asked to do stuff is always nice. And we all wish we were talking, to Jeff and Ben tonight, but we're not. And hopefully we will. I'll do them again down the road. But maybe you'll see me on Epic. And
be an honor.
Yeah, I'd love to do it, and we can talk some more Turtles. But I really appreciate the fans. For all of us have been so incredibly great, like over the years, to be this far into something just is insane, So
almost
I know,
40 years.
Oh, Jesus, I think my vertebrae just went right when you said that. Yeah. I mean, it is very bizarre, I joke, me and Kevin were kids, we were in our early 20s, but it is, and again, it's amazing and humbling. To be doing this stuff so long, and I know you guys reach out to the fans anytime I'm in front of anybody. That's one of the things that I have to say, that we are all blessed.
Well, we appreciate you and your time, sir. And Eric, where do you like people interacting with you?
I'm mostly on Facebook. It's Eric Will. You'll see me around the IDW TMNT group, as well as Epic Tales. Epic Shows. See, I got my confused here. Epic Shows. I'm also on there. I help Justin with the Facebook groups. So mostly on there. I'm not on Instagram anymore. I kind of got off of there. It's just I haven't posted anything on there lately at all. So just Facebook pretty much.
Sounds good. Mr. Justin, take us out.
EpicTalesFromTheSewers.com. You can check us out there, and make sure that you check out next week, the same token time, the same token channel, and check out Token With.
Awesome. Catch you guys later.
Step it off, break it down and lose it. Come on, follow us to the new revolution. Come on, step it off, break it down and lose it. Come on, follow us to the new revolution.
Hi, this is Adam, aka Casey Jones from Casey Jones Livewire, and you're listening to Epic Tales from the Sewers. Time for a knuckle sandwich, punk.
It's pizza time.
And now, in a segment that we call Pizza Time, where we discuss any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle or pizza-related food, I give you Pizza Time. And now, for your Pizza Time, the recipe I've chosen today is the sausage and pepper pow. Makes one 12-inch pizza. You might need a knife or fork for this one. It's plenty of napkins. This classic Italian-American flavor combo can be found in sandwich and pizza shops throughout New York City. This pizza can be a crowd pleaser in any turtle-rific party. Ingredients: cornmeal for dusting, 2 teaspoons extra virgin olive oil, divided plus more for brushing and greasing, 1/2 pound of sweet or hot Italian sausage, casings removed, 1/2 large green bell pepper, seeded and sliced, 1/2 medium yellow onion, halved and sliced, 1 pound ball pizza dough, homemade or store-bought, 1/3 cup no-cook tomato sauce, 3/4 cup shredded low-moisture mozzarella. Lighten it up, dudes. You can use whole wheat pizza dough, or you can use vegan or turkey sausage and low-fat mozzarella, or vegan mozzarella if that's your thing. Instructions: on a baking stone or a steel pizza peel, place your baking stone in the middle rack of the oven and preheat to 500 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 30 minutes. Then turn over to broil. Dust the pizza peel or inverted baking sheet with cornmeal or flour. On the baking sheet, preheat the oven to 500 degrees Fahrenheit with a rack in the middle position. Lightly coat with heavy rimmed baking sheet with olive oil. Step 1. Put a teaspoon of oil in a medium heavy bottomed skillet or a cast iron pan and set it over medium heat. When the oil starts to ripple, crumble the sausage and cook it for about 3 minutes, breaking it up with a wooden spoon so it's no longer pink. Remove the sausage from the skillet using a slotted spoon and place it on a paper towel lined plate to drain. Step 2. Add the remaining remaining teaspoon of oil to the skillet, still over the medium heat, and throw the pepper and onion in. Cook, stirring every minute or two until the vegetables are soft and beginning to brown, about 5 minutes. When the pepper and onion are done cooking, take off the heat. Return the sausage to the pan and toss well. Set aside to cool. Step 4. Stretch or roll the dough into a 12-inch disc and place it on the prepared pizza peel or baking sheet. Step 5. Spoon the tomato sauce onto the dough and spread it out evenly, leaving a 1/2-inch border of dough around all. Step 6. Scatter on the cheese, then arrange the sausage and pepper and onion mixture up on top. Step 7. Shimmy the dough from pizza peel to the hot baking stone or transfer to the baking sheet in the oven. Step 8. Bake until the crust is golden and the cheese is just beginning to brown in spots. Roughly about 6 to 8 minutes on the baking stone, 10 to 15 minutes on the baking sheet. Remove the pizza from the oven and let it cool for 5 minutes. Then slice and stir. This has been your pizza recipe for the day. Sausage and pepper pow.
Cowabunga, dudes!
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Thank you for listening to the Epic Tales from the Sewers podcast. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. This podcast has no affiliation with Eastman, Laird, Mirage Studios, IDW Studios, Archie Comics, or Nickelodeon Studios. This podcast is a member of the Dorkening Podcast Network. Check out thedorkening.com for other podcasts. Epic Tales from the Sewers is recorded by Justin Cooper and Eric Will.
It took me 10 years to make the perfect man cave.
And then we took it over. And we made it into the multiversal chamber.
Then I started my own podcast.
And we took that over too. And we're the co-hosts, the Multiverse Kids.
Yeah, and I'm the dad, the geeky dad. And every week, we what?
We review the movies, shows, and books, games, and toys.
Yeah, and sometimes we even have a special guest. So, join us every week on the Geeky Dad Podcast.
Do you like gaming?
You know, this game would be better if it was a battle royale.
Do you like technology?
I bet this tech would work better if it was a battle royale. Do you like movies, TV shows, and everything else that me and Nate can't agree on?
The Last Jedi was easily the best Star Wars film I have ever seen.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Everybody in this room is stupid now because of you.
Talking Gaming and Tech is a bi-weekly podcast where we cover the latest, greatest in gaming and tech.
Now part of the Dorkening Podcast Network.
Talking Gaming and Tech is a podcast produced by Tech Prime Media. You can find us on YouTube and all other social media platforms. You can find Talking Gaming and Tech on Apple Podcasts or wherever else you get your podcasts from.
This podcast is filmed live.
If you want to check us out while we're filming live, remember to follow links on social media and your comment might be read on air.